Hello and welcome to your next edition of Fleetcast, everything Obsidian Fleet related. And as you can see today, there is only two of us. There is me and John, and we are going to be discussing 3 episodes of the original series that have been given to us by Fleet members and voted on by who knows who, because it was put on social media and there were a lot of feels over us. We did upset a few people when we asked for suggestions. But
We're gonna upset a lot more people
yes, this
today, I
episode
think.
is slightly controversial, so we do have a little bit of a disclaimer for you. So, this episode and the views and opinions expressed tonight are solely those of the people here, just me and John. That is it. We've got no one else's opinions, and they do not reflect any official position of any member of the Fleet Council. We are not speaking for them or anyone else. We may discuss controversial or sensitive topics that may create difference of opinions. The purpose of this podcast is to provide a platform for open and honest discussion on various topics, mostly the original series tonight. We do not endorse or promote discrimination, hate speech, or harmful behaviours towards individuals or groups. We are very firm believers in no toxic track and no toxic fandom. If you do not agree with any part of this disclaimer, you should probably refrain from watching us any further and move along to something more unique for your tastes. So, what have you been up to this week, John? What have you been writing?
Been up to no good now. Hi. I continue to write for my X-Men game that I'm running with you,
With me?
coincidentally. And I've said this a couple of times to you. I'm writing a post with myself, but I'm treating it as if, like, every time I tag, I just put in a paragraph and then saving it. So I'm treating it as if I'm tagging myself. And I keep forgetting that it's me on the other end.
Have you done it again?
So every time I see that list, I'm like, wait, who plays Gabriella? Oh wait, that's me.
Every time we have this discussion every week.
Tags, yeah.
I love it when you do that. You DM me and I'm like, again, really?
Yeah,
again?
happens more often than I care to admit.
So what have I been up to this week? I've been writing X-Men. I've been writing my civilian game, SS Mary Rose. What have I done this week on that? Just a little bit more of chaos with all the timey-wimey events, and then, which is fun. We've gone to the future, we've gone to the past, so
it's a very interesting time to be joining the ship, to be fair.
yes, it was a little bit of a unique time, but I think once we start going, and you'll be a little bit more involved, and you'll be able to discover some of the past, or maybe make your own future. And what have I been writing on Atlantis? Oh, we've just got to the base on Atlantis, and we've been separated by a wall. So some of the team have had to turn back to the shuttle pod, while some of us go forward and try and work out what's going on. Which is it's interesting. Yeah, it's a good mission.
Yeah.
So yes, shall we get into the original series?
Yeah.
So for anyone who doesn't know how this all came about, back in 2020, I was like, I'm gonna watch the original series. Spoiler, that hasn't happened yet until this week. So this week I have watched an episode pretty much each day. I've watched 3 episodes. I've watched the Trouble with Tribbles, the Balance of Terror, and I've watched, what's the last one?
The City on the Edge of Forever.
The one that we upset a lot of people because we had the name wrong. But this name was given to us by Fleet members, so I can only take a little bit of the
We've never seen the episodes before, so we have no clue.
Yeah, we had no clue that we even had the name wrong. So apologies to everyone who is out there who we got it completely wrong.
What did we get? What did we say it was?
I think we said it was the City on the Edge of the Future.
Ooh.
So it's slightly different. So we are going to be going through each episode, going through how we think they were, what our expectations were going into this. And then we are going to each of us are going to give a score out of 5. So overall, we'll have a score out of 10. And if we continue past the 12 episodes, we might have a little bit of a leaderboard on our little journey. So, what was your expectation going into the Balance of Terror?
I will say, like overall, for just to take a step back, like the reason that we got into this obviously was we're huge Trekkies, but neither of us had ever seen any original series, right?
Mm,
So, which is funny because the reason I got into Trek in the first place is when the Next Generation was on,
yeah.
was because my mother really loved the original series, especially Kirk. Yeah, she was very open about her infatuation
Love it.
with Mr. James Tiberius. So yeah. So overall, I think like this is not even specifically to Ballads of Terror, but overall, I think the expectations are, this is from the '60s, so
Yes.
a slow paced kind of television, not much of a B plot. I think they're just focusing on one kind of storyline at the same time. That's what I think going in. Obviously, famous for the overacting and the catchphrases. So I'm hoping to see some of that. There's things that are going to be illogical. Scotty is not a miracle worker. Bones is just a doctor. That sort of stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. When I will bring in a different perspective as well because Mrs. Emu
Yes.
uh, said, "Ooh, what are you doing?" I kind of explained, and she was like, "Oh, I'll watch the episodes with you." And so she's kind of like a running commentary track
Oh no, I like
there
that
as well.
we've got a third opinion. I like it.
Yeah, but to be fair, we watched Enterprise together and Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Those are the two series that we watched. And going into this, like, as I explained this, she said, "Oh, is this the one with Captain O'Hara?" I'm like, what? There is no Captain O'Hara in Star Trek. I Googled Captain O'Hara. I know. Huh? And she's like, yeah, like the African American woman when there was
Okay,
no
now I
other,
understand.
yeah, when there was no other
Yeah, no, I
African
totally
American
understand.
women getting so yeah, I said, "Do you mean Uhura?" Says, yes, that's the one. So yeah, so her general expectation is like she's never seen anything from those series, and she wanted to, or from the '60s, I should say, except for well, that's even before the '60s. She wanted to watch Bambi when Disney
Okay.
Plus came out, and she kind of quit about 10 minutes in because
I can't imagine why.
yeah.
To be fair, my expectations were going in overall, not just to the Balance of Terror, where it's going to be
Hmm.
really cringy. I'm not going to enjoy it. Um, it's going to be bad
Same.
acting. I'm going to get really offended within 5 minutes, and I'm just not going to want to watch anymore. Yeah, my expectations were quite low. I'm not going to lie; they were bottom of the floor, and I know that's going to offend a lot of people, and I'm sorry, but this was the
I
whole
was
point.
I was trying to keep it kind of
Yeah, no,
friendly in that sense. No, same.
yeah, I'm gonna be brutal. When I said I was gonna do this challenge back in 2020, I said I was gonna be brutal. I was doing this because everybody kept going on that it was amazing. How can I watch it? How can I watch it? How can I not watch it? Being a Trek fan, all of this, and I was like, it's never appealed to me. It's not something.
Same.
It's not something that we had on television. Well, not that I remember. I remember DS9. I remember Voyager. I remember The Next Generation all being on BBC Two, and then Channel 4 got Enterprise. But the original series wasn't on there that I can remember, or at least it wasn't on at 6:45 on every night of the week apart from Fridays, because that's ingrained into my memory. But yeah, I had no real positive expectations. But going into the Balance of Terror, the only thing I knew about it was Romulans. That was that
Yeah.
was the only thing I knew about it. And that's purely because Cam talks quite a lot about this episode, and how it's her episode. She plays a lot of Romulans around the fleet. And that was literally the only expectation I had.
Same.
But
First appearance, I think, of the Romulans.
yes, it is
Yeah.
the first appearance of the Romulans. It's the 14th episode of the first season. It's written by Paul Schneider, directed by Vincent McEvety, and it premiered on December the 15th, 1966. So, in this episode, the USS Enterprise battles a Romulan ship after investigating an unidentified assailant who is destroying Federation outposts in the neutral zone. It's the first episode that introduces the cloaking device and the Romulans, and I'm not gonna lie, I actually really enjoyed it. I actually
Right.
really, really enjoyed it. For it being the first episode that I'd watched, it was really positive. Don't get me wrong, there are some parts that I very much were like, oh my god, no. But I really enjoyed it from the get go. Um, I don't know whether that's because I've got a Connie class ship in Rosie. I really like the first scene. We've got the wedding. I was like, oh my god, the chapel. Um, Obviously, I've actually posted about the chapel several times because it's one of the parts of the ship of an old ship that I actually really like. And I was like, oh my god, it's the chapel, and I was like, yay. I did like that scene. Um, but yeah, for that first scene, I was like, oh, that's not what we normally see in Trek. It doesn't normally start like that. Um, yeah, and it
The
was just
moment the moment the red alert went off, I
yeah,
said, I said to uh, my fiance, to Mrs. Emu, that one of these is dying.
yes,
One of the two. Um,
without a doubt.
and yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
She also said there was only humans aboard. She was very disappointed about that, except for Spock. And she was also wondering why Spock was wearing eyeshadow.
okay, I will tell you guys a little story that happened. So I decided to watch this episode. Well, not this episode. I decided to watch the original series with my 6-year-old because that was the only way I was going to get to watch the last episode. So she's seen the musical episode of Strange New Worlds, and her opinion of Spock is she loves Spock in Strange New Worlds. And I was trying to explain to her that this is where Spock came from and all this. She was like, why has he got sparkly eyeshadow on? And I was like,
Yeah,
I
good
didn't have
question.
I didn't have an answer for her. And to be fair, I was distracted by getting dinner ready, and I was like, I didn't really have an answer. But now thinking back, I could just turn around and say, well, actually, it's the '60s, and that was the only way they were going to get
Yeah.
the appearance right on camera. But yeah, that was the opinion of a 6-year-old. Is why does that man have eyeliner on?
It's the same opinion as my 35-year-old fiance. So you know,
But yeah, when they went to battle stations, that was my vibe. I was like, oh my god, this is just not going to end well. One of them is dying.
no, yeah,
Yeah, but I did find that within a couple of scenes, I did find that all the sexism kicked in for me when they went off to the briefing room. I was like, so why is there no women in there? Why is your I can never pronounce her name. What's her name?
Laura.
Yora. I was like, why is she not in there? Why is the comms chief not in the room?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
what can I say? They did bring in the very bigoted con officer.
Mr. Styles.
Apparently, he was very to be there.
Yes, his opinion. His opinion.
Uh,
But while we're getting onto the character of Mr. Styles, I actually really liked him in this episode. I kind of liked that they didn't shy away from the fact that the moment we saw that the Romulans and the Vulcans are similar, that there was some character that didn't accept it straight away. That didn't kind of question it. Was, well, why did they look the same? I really like that, and the fact that they didn't shy away from that, even that controversy in the 60s. I did like that, and I thought, oh, that's good. Even though I didn't like the character, I didn't like Styles, and I thought, oh, he's really bigoted. I don't like it. I liked that they challenged that it was the Romulans and the Vulcans were
But
the
before
same.
they came into screen, like before the Romulans came on screen, though, before they knew what the Romulans looked like, there was already, I don't know if it was Styles or Sulu that suddenly said, there might be Romulans on board. And I was like,
Yeah,
why?
yeah,
Where did that came from? And it was never mentioned again. And it was never
but that's
like
yeah,
it
that was
went
a bit
nowhere.
yeah.
Like, huh?
Mm.
Weird. Oh, oh well.
Yeah, it was a little bit odd. There were some
Yeah.
stretches of plot, shall we say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
The first image that the Romulans came on is like it's Mark Leonard that plays the
yes,
Romulan commander, and I heard that he was a very good actor,
yes, but he
and
plays
I
his old
think
dad, doesn't he?
yeah later on he
Yeah,
does, yeah, yeah. Um, I think very good is all relative, I guess, compared to the rest of the acting. He might be a very good actor, but all in all,
mm,
I don't know. But
yeah,
the first image of the Romulans, Mrs. Emu immediately went, "That's a Vulcan." So yeah, close enough.
yeah, and
And then she went, "No wait, that's an angry Vulcan. Are those the Romulans?" I think that's kind of yeah the vibe they were going for.
angry Vulcans.
And
Yeah,
and
no,
she
that
said,
she's not wrong.
yeah, yeah.
She's
She
not
said
wrong.
that the Romulan commander Mark Leonard plays reminded her of Freddie Mercury.
She's not wrong. She's
Yeah,
not
I
wrong.
mean, yeah. Also, like, yeah, this is maybe a bit later down the episode, but also the yeoman throughout this entire episode was very inconsiderate of Kirk's personal space,
Yes, Rand.
and it was, yeah, it was weird. I don't what why.
Yeah, I always I got the vibe because obviously I think I've seen her in the movies. I think she was I
Hmm.
think yeah. I kind of get the vibe that they're in a relationship,
Yeah,
but it's the 60s and they can't really show that because it's unmarried and yeah, it's a weird vibe. Yeah.
but also like even if that's the case, super inappropriate, right?
Mm.
It's like the captain and his yeoman.
Yeah, it's just yeah.
Nothing wrong with that,
No,
certainly.
it's a bit we wouldn't write that, let's put it this way.
No, true,
No.
true.
But yeah,
When it came to sorry, I went on a tangent
it's
there.
okay.
When it came to Styles, because we were on the topic of him, I couldn't help, like as you said, like it was good that there was someone that didn't just take kind of this news as a, oh, we'll take it in stride. Let's just
Yeah,
go with that.
yeah,
And I also couldn't help but agree with him on a couple of occasions when he's like, hey, wait a minute, we can't just it was super coincidental that something blows up under Mr. Vulcan's station, and now
yeah,
suddenly we can't, shoot phasers anymore.
yeah. He wasn't
Yeah,
wrong. He wasn't wrong. And I
um,
just find some of the
bit
some
of
of the
a
some
dick
of the
about it, but it
yeah,
wasn't wrong.
yeah, he was wrong. But yeah, no, I did find that I liked the addition of Styles. I would have maybe preferred it being someone else, maybe because I don't remember us seeing Styles in the next episode. So I don't know what happens
No,
to
I
him.
think don't think he was there. No,
No, I don't remember him being there. He's not in my notes. Um,
no,
yeah, he's not in the notes.
but
Um,
Chekhov wasn't there either yet. Like Chekhov was in the third one.
yes, I didn't realize that. I didn't kind of love I didn't know that. But the kind of things that I did kind of like is the battle preparing. I kind of like seeing that. Um, when they go to battle stations and things like that.
Mhm.
I don't remember seeing that in many other Trek seasons. I don't remember seeing that in the Next Generation or Voyager.
They call battle stations.
Yeah, which I find it's a bit surreal because then at some points they called it Red Alert. It was really inconsistent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's another thing that was inconsistent.
I
Um,
think like in the first episode of the Next Generation, they call battle stations, and one of them goes to that bridge, the other bridge,
yeah,
right?
the Battle
The
Bridge,
the battle
the
bridge,
Battle Bridge.
and then they never do it again because it was too expensive on
Yeah,
VFX.
yeah, yeah. Just
Love it.
just a tad. But yeah, no, I really liked. It kind of showed it more military, and I guess in the '60s it was obviously closer to World War Two. A lot of the people that are on there at the show were veterans. Obviously, if it wasn't World War,
Including Roddenberry, right?
yeah, and
Yeah,
Nimoy and
yeah. Scotty.
Scotty and Bones.
Yeah.
They're all veterans. Plus, there's lots more of them, but obviously a lot of them were veterans. So obviously, I kind of like that. I kind of like to see that battle preparedness. It kind of, yeah, it threw me a little bit because I was like, oh, they're actually showing that kind of preparedness.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and as the episode kind of got further along, I kind of found myself enjoying it more and more because you could see Kirk, and then you could see the Romulan commander, and
Mhm.
it was kind of like a battle of wills, how it was kind of going back and forth. I'm trying to see what I called it at one point. I've got quite a lot of notes, as you can
Yeah.
you could you
It's
can't see
blurred
them.
out,
I've
but
blurred
yeah.
it, but yeah, there you go. You can kind
Yeah.
of see them there. It's a lot. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, no, I kind of just really like this episode, but I did kind of feel like it was like a psychological thriller at points because I
Mhm.
couldn't quite work out what was going to happen next. Obviously, we know that obviously
Yeah.
Kirk's going to win, but I was like, how is he going to get there? What is going to happen? And I actually found myself liking Kirk as a captain. I was actually like, oh, okay, he's actually given the leadership vibes for once. Because
Mhm.
anytime that I've seen him in like a clip, and it's always like, oh, he's trying to smooch on the girl, or he's doing something inappropriate. But I could actually see the leadership skills that he obviously has.
Yeah.
Um, I found myself I was able to separate from Shatner and Kirk, which is a bit of a weird place for me because I really don't like Shatner as an actor. Um, I kind of find
I think
him,
like for me, it really helped that the only time I've seen Shatner being Shatner, he was already old. So now he's young, so you can't really,
yeah,
yeah, you don't really connect them quickly because, like in your mind, I've seen the old one first, so this can't be the same
yeah,
dude because you don't age that way, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I can also see why my mom was infatuated with him.
I love
Like
it.
there, yeah, I mean, it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just,
and yeah, as you said, like as the episode progressed, um, how do I say that? Like, okay, so I think all of the acting was fairly stilted. Like it was very stiff and kind of awkward,
yeah,
and that didn't really go away except for like two, maybe three heartfelt lines from the Romulan commander.
yeah,
It's really clear that he is done with this kind of undercover war that they're waging.
yeah.
But other than that, it was very, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
I also think it was kind of suffering from the first season jitters because obviously this is only the 14th episode of that first
mhm,
season. But yeah, no, I do think the Romulan commander was the best actor out of all of them.
yeah,
It kind of
yeah,
felt at points that, yeah, it was difficult. There was a lot of overacting or parts that were just very jarring because they just didn't seem to connect. And also, I
No,
didn't.
yeah, like they're jumping all over the place, right? And
Yeah,
they're drawing these conclusions that they come out of nowhere.
yeah,
Like the example I gave was like, oh, there's Romulans on board, and they're like, what? Why?
yeah,
Huh?
yeah. It was a bit jarring. Yeah, but I did kind of like, I've put a quote on here: the dramatic rolling around on the bridge
Right? Yeah,
had me crying with laughter because it was so cringy. And
yeah.
I've put a little smiley face next to it because I must have found it that funny at that part when I was watching it on Thursday while I was doing the laundry, because I've literally put smiley faces next to it, or I've put exclamation marks. But yeah, what I did find really kind of jarring was the lighting, like
Yeah, yeah. Same.
how it was like it was framing the eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Continuously. That and the audio. It felt like there was
beat bops.
constantly parakeets in the background. Very distracting.
Yeah, it was the beat bops, and I was actually talking to Chris, or yeah, I was talking to Chris on the NerdyUpNorth Discord server around the time because we were both watching different
Yeah.
original series
Mm.
episodes, and he was like, "There's too many beat bops," and this is exactly what he said. It was really distracting. I don't remember us having this in
Yeah.
any other season. I don't.
No.
No,
No.
I really don't
So
remember.
like it was just constant, right? Like yeah, continuously throughout. And then every time, like it also felt like, speaking of the audio bits on there, um, every so often at the end of a scene, they would say something that was very kind of soap opera-y.
Yes.
And like they didn't quite turn to the camera and have that moment, but then the music comes in and, like
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I
It.
mean you're trying to I guess enhance the yeah
Yeah.
the
It was.
tension.
Yeah.
That's the
It
word I
was.
was looking
Yeah, it was kind of very jarring at that point. But yeah, there was very
for. Yeah.
much too many beat bops, as my notes
Yes.
say.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just kind of yeah. I've obviously I'm just reading through my notes and I've just kind of put on that, with the moment with with Rand and the captain on the bridge. When the what did they call it? The weapon on the Romulan ship was coming towards them. The red
Yeah.
orb,
Yeah.
and it was getting closer and closer and closer, and I was just like, oh, this is just so cringy. Like, please,
Yeah.
just stop. But it didn't stop. It continued, and it was just
Yeah. She got closer and closer,
yeah,
basically.
she got
Yeah.
closer and closer as the orc got closer and closer.
But that
Um,
was also one of those things like where it just seems to jump from one spot to another and it doesn't give you anything, and then it suddenly next one, this thing is coming towards them and they're like full reverse, or I don't know what they're saying.
yeah,
They're flying away from this thing, can't go to warp for some reason. And then, oh, there's a maximum range to this weapon that we suddenly find out, but it still hits, and then something blows underneath Spock's desk.
yeah,
And I'm sorry, it was just asking too much of me to
yeah,
kind of to that point. I also like it feels like they're doing a lot of exposition, like both. I think especially Spock, with both Spock and Kirk, and also to a certain extent at the Romulan, I think it was the role of the Centurion
yeah,
to do kind of that exposition thing. They just say everything rather than make it known otherwise. I think there's a very good example of that later. Oh, I've disappeared again. A
teleported
very
again.
good example in one of the other episodes. I have a note on that.
Yeah,
I'll mention it when I come across it. But yeah, I mean, and then also they're just firing into nothing with the phasers. and
Yeah,
they explode,
yeah.
and then they hit something,
I was like, oh,
and
is
then
this Minecraft? Yeah, it was just a bit.
styrofoam comes falling down from
But
the
what I did
ceiling.
like is when we had that scene where the console blew. I did actually like that science were the ones that did all that. Like they did the fixing of that. I
Mm.
did. I did kind of like that vibe that it was science because it was technical that they did kind of get underneath the console and do that. But yeah, it was just
It
it
was
was
very like it was also very harking back to kind of the World War II stuff. It was very Dust Boat stuff. Like suddenly they had to be very quiet, and I'm like, but your ship is in a vacuum. You know that, right?
yeah. This is kind of
So
why I kind of got the submarine vibe because it did feel a
yeah,
little bit like a submarine. Like both
yeah,
ships were submarines and they were like moving on.
whispering to each other. They're like, what?
Yeah, it was
Makes no sense. Just makes
yeah.
no sense.
But I really,
Sorry.
no, I agree. It was like it was a submarine at some point. So it was kind of
Yeah.
good. Um, I just yeah, there were some points that of this episode that I was a bit like, oh, and then there were some points, mostly on the Romulan ship, that I was like, oh, okay, this is deep. I like this. I like this vibe. Like when the Romulan ship got shot, and the Centaurian pushed the commander out of the way, and you had that moment, and then they were like, okay, we need to put all the rubble and everything in the torpedo tubes. We need to pretend
Yeah.
that we've kind of we've kind of been destroyed, and they use the Centaurian's
Yeah.
body. I
Yeah. They
kind
throw
of
him out there.
I really liked that moment. I thought, oh no, this is kind of the emotion. It's kind of conveying the emotion that we kind of expect from Trek, from obviously watching from the 90s onwards.
Hmm.
You can kind of see that vibe, and obviously the commander's like, I'm sorry, my friend, I need this to get home. It's the only way. And I was like, oh,
Hmm.
I like that bit. But then it kind of went back to the cringe, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, something. Yeah. I mean, speaking of like kind of that there are some points of deeper dialogue, and I can understand where some of some of the writing is I guess ahead of its time for the
yeah,
60s. And there's definitely kind of some jabs at people from World War II that haven't been in World War II, and then they still have kind of this sentiment probably towards the Germans or maybe towards the Russians,
yeah,
where Styles uh, lost family in the Romulan War.
yeah,
And then Kirk says to him, "It's their war, Mr. Styles, not yours." Like, yeah, okay,
yeah,
makes sense. I mean, it's yeah, feels good.
yeah,
Um, and then the thing about the bigotry, there's no room for it on the bridge. I think there's quite a bit of that makes some of the writing kind of redeemable. But
yeah. Though we had moments of cringe, and then there's moments that you think, oh, okay, this is redeemable, and then we kind of get to we get like the moment where the Romulan commander is like, me and that captain could have been friends in another life. I was like, mm,
oh
yeah. I was like,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
can see it, and I like that moment. But it made me then go back to the Romulan scenes are the best scenes. And I can now see
yeah,
100% why Cam likes this episode and why she was so interested by Romulans just from this episode. Now I can
yeah,
truly see it. But then we kind of go into the kind of ending scenes where you've got Styles and the groom in the what do they call it,
the weapons room. I think the
the weapons
phaser.
phase,
I don't know.
and we
Yeah,
get that moment where we 100% see the groom die.
yep.
Um, but we do
Spoilers.
spoilers.
Called it.
Yeah, we kind of did call it. Yeah, and it was kind of. yeah, it was kind of cringe, but I did kind of like the moment between Spock and Styles, and they were both like a little bit more nicer towards each other.
Yeah, that was. I think that was good. I think as a end result of that, I think that showed kind of what you want to show in that sort of episode. But then I think it was the scene after, or maybe a couple more, like the end scene where the wife to be was in her room. I think staring at a wall in the chapel,
It was the chapel, yeah.
staring at a wall somewhere. And Kirk comes in as like, uh, I don't know.
Yeah, that
There's,
vibe
you
it
know,
just felt.
there was some sort of reason, or like, you know, it wasn't for nothing, and it was like it was 100% for nothing.
Yeah,
Uh,
I really
and
didn't
then she's
like that
like,
scene.
okay, I can live with this, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, no, I really did not like that scene whatsoever. I was like, no. But then I kind of got the vibe that he was going to kiss her at one point. I was like, oh
Yeah,
no.
yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, the bereaved widow. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that you
Got all
agree.
about his Yeoman at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. Um,
Interesting is a word. Yeah.
yeah,
At times. I think that's all I have to say. Well, I
yeah.
mean, I like the styrofoam ceilings coming down on top of the, and they were acting really well as if it was very heavy. Yeah,
Yeah, they did. They acted really well. As-
beautiful. Love it.
okay, so how many points are you going to give the Balance of Terror?
I'm giving this 2 out of 5 bleep blobs.
Oh, I like that. We're going with 2 out of 5 bleep blobs. Okay, I am going to
Yeah,
give it 3 out of 5 bleep blobs.
there we go.
So it has a grand total of
5 out of 10 bleep blobs. That's insufficient.
it's got 5 out of 10 bleep blobs.
Yes.
This is now a thing. It's now bleep blobs. It's not points. It's bleep blobs. I love it.
Oh, I have one for each. That's why it took a bit longer to score them.
That's fine. I love it. Okay, so we are now on to City on the Edge of Forever,
Yeah.
and not what
So,
we.
what were your expectations before I went first last time?
I had no expectations going into this episode other than I was called out for having the episode name wrong by some very, very angry Trek fans in a group where I asked for them to vote. They were very, very angry, telling me I shouldn't watch it because I don't know what it's called. I was like,
I won't watch it then.
yeah,
Okay.
I was like, okay, this is how
See if I
gatekeeping
care.
this is how gatekeeping happens, people. We do not do
Yeah,
that. We
love it.
just
But
we are positive. If you get the name wrong, we will just correct you nicely, not telling people not to
yeah,
watch it. Um,
very
no
funny.
toxic Trek, folks. Okay,
Stupid.
what were your expectations going into this episode?
I from being in like Star Trek writing groups for as long as I've been, I've picked up kind of things by osmosis, I guess.
Okay.
I know that there was a Stargate kind of thingy.
Yes.
I didn't know what it did. I didn't know what it was or anything. I knew that was there. And I kind of gathered from, I don't know if it was from the title or from somewhere else, that it was kind of a time travel story.
Mhm.
That's the two things I knew. Um, which actually Mrs. Emu, without any of these insights, said it feels like a setup for some sort of time loop or something along those lines. She also expressed a hope that the canary sounds would stop, which they did when they were off the ship, so that was good. Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't really have any expectations. I didn't even kind of line up that this episode was the one that created all the 2020 memes. Um, do you remember the memes when they had the image of the gate of forever, and
Mm.
um, it was something about 2020 and how we need to go back to change it and all this. That was the meme that
I've
kind of
not
went.
seen any of those.
I will find it. I will add it. Seeing I'm recording this
Yeah.
episode, I will add it to this episode so people can see. I
Yes.
will
Yeah.
find it so you guys can see what meme I'm on about. But that meme went everywhere. It was 2020 summed up.
You
Um,
can watch it here. Like you need to edit it in above
yeah,
my finger.
yeah. I don't know. It'll be in one of
Yeah.
the corners. I'll work out where I'm going to put
Somewhere.
it. But yeah, no. So let's see. What were your thoughts going into it then? What was the first couple of scenes? What did you think?
One thing you should know, like I'm from the Netherlands, and my English is good enough that I watch these episodes, or I watch any of the Star Trek episodes without subtitles. But since my girlfriend was watching along, we switched them on,
Hmm.
and even the subtitles are old timey. Like it felt like 60s subtitles. I don't know if they made new ones for the streaming service, but it doesn't feel like they did. Like the language that was used in the subtitles was old timey. It was very weird, very jarring.
Okay,
That's the first thing that kind of popped up for me. Yeah,
I might have a look.
it's weird. Yeah, I don't know if maybe it's not true for closed captioned English, but
Yeah, I'll have a look. See if
it's
it's.
just a yeah, yeah. It's very funny, very funny. Other things. Um,
See, I quite liked how this episode, very much like the last episode, kind of jumped straight into the problem. It kind of
yeah,
literally, it was jumped straight in that there's an issue. There's what's they call it? They kind of time time
distortions.
yeah, time distortions. It kind of jumps straight into the ship's having time distortions,
Yeah,
or as I've put it on my notes, timey wimey issues.
yeah,
Or timey wimey issues and time blips. Um, I kind
yeah.
of like this scene because I kind of like the fact that Bones was quite funny. I don't know what he was saying, but he was kind of straight off. He kind of had me like laughing because I was sniggering along with him. Um,
When he jabbed himself, or
no, no,
before?
no. Before that, when he was dealing with the initial why he initially was there,
Hmm.
he was quite funny. And then obviously then it became quite serious that he
Yeah,
wasn't
he
funny
called out.
anymore.
He called out. Are you questioning my medical or something?
Yeah, it was.
He was telling Kirk off for questioning his medical
Yeah,
prowess. Yeah.
yeah. And then obviously I kind of really like that. And then I was like, I've put Bones, haha, dramatic movement, good acting.
Yes. Not
I
good
quite,
acting,
yeah,
but yes.
yeah. But I did kind of like the fact that it was slightly more Bones and it was less Spock and Kirk. You kind of now
Yeah.
are starting to see the trio.
He's
Um,
coming in there.
yeah. Obviously, I think maybe this is because this episode is sort of towards the end. It's the 28th episode of the first
Yeah.
season. It's been written by Harlan Ellison. And there's a lot of kind of contributions and editors for this one. Obviously, you've got like DC Fontana, and you've actually got Gene Roddenberry. He made the final rewrite, so I kind of feel like maybe they're kind of finding their feet more with this episode.
The
Um,
process, yeah.
I don't know if you kind of got that vibe. It kind of felt a little bit more together.
Uh,
Oh,
I think, well, yeah, I mean, throughout all of it just feels like there was just this is also where um, that very jarring exposition thing happened
yeah,
for me. Like, first off, when Sulu gets blown to bits and then gets that cordrazine
yeah.
stabbed in him. And Kirk is like, "Oh no, this is very dangerous." And then McCoy says, "Are you questioning my, medical prowess?" And then Sulu sits up and goes,
It's like I was like,
"What?
okay.
Okay, why?" Like, there's no, yeah. I mean, that was very. I was like, "Okay." And then he jabs himself and he goes. absolutely mental. Which
Yeah, that was the part where I was a bit like, okay, this is kind of scary. Um, and then I've put a note on here, obviously. Bones McCoy escapes, and I've put on
yeah,
there. How did they not hear the doors open? Could the beatbox be blocking it? Maybe
yeah,
it's literally
yeah,
what my notes. I don't know. I
yeah.
don't
I
know. If,
mean,
oh, I can't. Okay, I'll
yeah,
be.
it
Yeah,
does. Yeah, but the lights are. Yeah, I trust you that that's there.
I was like,
And that is exactly what happened. I don't. Yeah,
yeah,
there's
that's
no
the
other.
only way I
But
could.
also, like the transporter chief was wearing, I think, his karate outfit.
No, I think they have like boiler suits. I think part of the
Yeah,
uniform there
yeah,
are boiler suits because you can see them on other crew members. So I think, but yeah, it
yeah,
does look a bit like that vibe.
yeah. And he doesn't hear him when he comes in, and he gets judo chopped,
Yeah.
and then yeah, goes down. Uh, yeah, it's super weird.
And then obviously McCoy escapes to the planet with
Yeah,
the time portal. So
yeah, the discount Stargate. Yeah,
the discount Stargate, is that what now we're calling it? Fair enough.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so Kirk Kirk
I'm calling it
Kirk Spock. You're I can never pronounce the name and I feel terrible because I
Uhura.
Yahora. Do you know something?
Uhura.
I feel absolutely terrible because she is one of my favourite characters from Strange New Worlds, and her singing is just absolutely amazing. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and I can't say it. I don't know what it is. Just it doesn't. But obviously they go down to the planet. And I've put that it's nice to see her actually in a role because up to this point
Yeah.
we've only seen her. Well, the episodes that we have watched, we have only seen her as sitting at the comms, and I think taking over the helm for like 5 minutes. We've kind of not seen her in this type
Did she
of.
do that? In Balance of Terror?
Yeah, well, I've put it as a note that she did. It was
Oh,
sort of towards the end when Styles had to go off to the weapons
right,
room.
right.
Obviously she takes over that. Um, and then I've put
Bit
I've
more
put obviously
popular.
that it's nice to see her do this, but then I've put oh, I know what this is. Something must have obviously triggered in my brain that I was like, that's a time portal. That is a time
Yeah,
portal, and I know what that is because I've seen this Discovery episode.
right.
So I was
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I now know what this is. I now know what's happening. Um,
Oh, because of that episode, that's when um, Empress
all hell the
Georgiou goes,
Emperor.
yeah, goes back, right?
Yes, that's how she goes back.
Um, I expected like an old guy to be there, but the portal was the person
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That confused me for a bit. I
yeah,
thought there was a guy there, and
yeah,
then I thought then that there was some conjecture about that guy maybe being a Q, but that's probably a different episode then, because
yeah,
there is one. There is one of those in the original series, I think.
yeah. So I think yeah, but that
Different episode, maybe. But
yeah,
anyway.
maybe we'll find it.
Yeah.
But then I've put
Who
I've
knows?
put a note how Mad McCoy, he's now known in my notes as Mad
Matt
McCoy,
McCoy. Yeah.
is hilarious. The fact that
Yes.
he's hiding behind polystyrene
Yes.
rocks. And
I I
how
have
funny is
noted
it?
down Starfleet security is terrible at hide and seek.
Mad McCoy is hide and seek champion, folks.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that kind of moment threw me because I was a bit like, how is security not looking properly?
Yeah.
They're just not looking.
No, exactly. Like the second before he appears, they're saying like we cannot find him.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
Maybe
come
you
on,
should
folks.
try looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we know red shirts have such bad name overall. It's not just because they're
Yeah.
bad; it's because they're crap at searching.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, speaking of which, I thought when they were beaming down, I was like, oh, I know that one. I know that one. I know the two that are not in a red shirt because that was Spock and Kirk, obviously.
Yeah,
And then there's two red shirt behind them, and I'm like, okay, well, nice knowing you.
yeah.
Here we go.
Let's
But
go.
nothing happens to them. That's nice.
Hmm. Maybe this is the one episode where we don't see red shirts die. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
The sorry.
yeah, and then obviously then it kind of goes into them going to the the time port. Well, the gate of God.
Mhm.
Was it the gates?
But yeah, it's a discount Stargate.
Yes, that's the one. Discount. We're just gonna have to call it that. Discount Stargate. And then obviously the discount Stargate then starts talking.
Talking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then obviously it got a bit strange because Spock is then scanning. Um,
He's recording stuff
yeah, he's
on
recording
his
stuff.
on his tape.
Yeah, and it was a bit like, oh, okay. Um,
I mean, he was also very like, oh no, I forgot to record stuff. I should be recording stuff.
but
I
that's
am
not.
now recording stuff.
Yeah, and I was like, but that's not like Spock. That's not like maybe that's because we've seen Spock in Strange New Worlds, and we yeah, it was kind of a little bit jarring to know that. And then obviously Mad McCoy, runs past them straight into the discount
Yeah.
Stargate, and then the cringe comes back because they can't contact the ship, and I'm just like, mm.
But,
I got really mad at this point when they couldn't contact the
uh,
ship.
I was mad slightly before
Okay,
because you have Matt McCoy kind of fluttering about
yeah,
with this Quadrazine in his system.
yeah,
Quadrazine, yeah. And they get to this planet and there's a time portal. And one of the first things kind of they conclude is, hey, can we use this to go back to yesterday and prevent McCoy from stabbing himself? Like,
yeah,
why are you trying to fix a medical issue with convoluted time travel? Like,
yeah.
stop it. Don't.
Yeah,
Like,
it kind
nothing
of
good will come of this.
yeah, it kind of just didn't. Yeah, it,
And then it got compounded with the fact that, Matt McCoy jumps in. And they're like, now what? What happened?
just
Well, you just seen a madman jump into the past. What do you think happened?
yeah,
Nothing good, for
very
sure.
very much not good. But yeah,
Nothing good.
it kind of threw me. And then obviously we've got the part where they're not able to contact the ship. They realize that they're all alone. But I did like there is a part that I did like about the scene. I did like the fact that we kind of go through history and we kind of see it. It's a very Americanized history. It's very
Yeah, it's all about
yeah,
the US.
yeah, it kind of that was kind of the vibe of it. It was very US history.
Yeah.
But I did like the fact that we saw that, and I can imagine it was very difficult in the '60s to do that. The only way I can probably see that they've done that is they've had a white screen behind that they're projecting on. That's the only kind of unless I because I don't think they
It's
have like
just, yeah, I think it's the same time for the original Superman. So they have either blue screen or green screen.
yeah.
They have that tech, so
Yeah,
they could
that was the kind of only way that
superimpose.
I could kind of
Yeah,
see it kind of happening.
yeah.
Um, but I did kind of like that, and then I've put a note on my notes saying, "All right, Spot, calm down." I think he must have got a bit dramatic at that moment. He was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah," in that
Online
moment, and I was
tits.
like,
Yeah. No, it's because the discount Stargate told him that he was primitive.
"That's it, yes," and he got offended. That was it.
Yeah,
Yeah, because he got offended by being called primitive and how
yeah,
he views history.
yeah.
Um, and then we get to the point that I got mad at that they made your I can't say it.
Uhura.
Uhura. They made her scared, and I really didn't like that. And she was like, "I'm scared," and she was like, you could see it on her face, like she is such a good actress, and I felt they kind of just they took that away from her. They just made her this scared female character, and I was like, that's not her.
But also, all right, if she's scared, let her be scared. Don't let her say, because this is literally the quote that kind of took me out of this entire episode. She comes again, not respecting any personal space, comes fairly close to Kirk and says, "I'm frightened."
Yeah, and I'm like,
And
no.
I'm like, "What? Okay, so first of all, you're probably not because you're a Starfleet officer and this is not your first rodeo. But secondly, if you're scared, be scared. Don't say I am frightened."
Yeah, it just
And
kind of,
I think it's kind of emblematic of that series, I guess, because
yeah, and the
we've seen it
60s.
in the Balance of Terror and the '60s, well, probably. So like, there's a lot of telling, don't not showing, and we
Yeah,
continuously say right to each other and to other writers, you show, don't tell. Like, don't
yeah,
say, "Oh, she was frightened. Oh, I am so scared." No,
yeah. It was just,
you should.
it was just,
Even if she was scared, which she shouldn't be, but even if she was, don't have her say, "I am frightened," because then
yeah.
it kind of,
Yeah,
adds to that.
this is what I didn't like. She's an officer. She's as well trained as every other person
Yeah,
on that away team,
exactly. Yeah.
if not more, because she knows multiple languages. Could they know all the languages that she does? I think not. Um, I just didn't like. I just yeah, that part kind of threw me, and I was like, hmm. And then obviously, then they come up with this plan that they're going to go back. Because Spock's conveniently
Worst.
recorded. He's kind of conveniently recorded it, so they're able to get back a week before he gets there, and then they're like, "Well, what do we do if you don't come back, or if things don't change?" Kirk turns and goes, "Someone else has to try." I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
"Yeah,
But when?
but
At
when?"
what point?
Which point? But he doesn't give them an answer. He kind of goes, after
I
whatever time.
trust you. Yeah. If you feel, yeah, I trust that
Yeah,
when it's gone wrong.
yeah, it kind of that doesn't work for me. That doesn't work, and I just don't think in the military, if something like that did happen, he would say, "Okay, no, this is the set amount of time. If I'm not back,
Yeah.
you do this."
I'm not back in 5 minutes. Just wait longer.
Yes. What's that from?
Ace Ventura.
No, there's another
Right
program.
before he, yeah, right before he, oh, you didn't hear? Sorry.
No, 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 no. I've said there's got to be another program because I wouldn't have seen it from Ace Ventura.
Okay. It's in the first movie from Ace Ventura when he jumps into the dolphin bin,
Oh, okay.
basically, and he's doing a Kirk impression when he does. So that's why
Okay.
it popped into my head.
Okay. But yeah, no. So obviously, then Spock and Kirk race
Kirk.
through the Discount Stargate straight to the past, and they instantly get themselves in trouble.
I Yeah, I will also say, like, before they jump in, the Guardian, whoever he is, um, he seems a bit dense for someone that has been waiting for tens of thousands of years. Um, because I just don't know why that Guardian thing felt it was a good idea to offer them access to the past in such a way in the first place. What good could possibly come from this? Right?
Yeah, it kind of was a bit melodramatic in that we really just
Yeah,
don't have a clue of why they're there in
exactly.
the first place or anything.
That's kind of the thing that I find difficult to kind of accept in all of these episodes is there's just a lot of just taking them at their word that you're having to do, right? And
Yeah,
it's very literally their word, not you can't grab it from context. You can't. It's something that they say, and that
yeah,
there's some very kind of elaborate. Oh, this is what we are doing right now.
yeah. It was kind of a bit like you're like, oh, okay, we're just gonna have to go on. We're just gonna have to believe you on here.
Yeah,
Um, so obviously they go to the past. They instantly get into trouble with
yeah.
everyone,
The law.
the police. And then obviously they run and conveniently find a basement
They assault a police officer before they do.
Yes, they assault a police
Get
officer
away with it.
with the Vulcan grip
Neck pinch.
neck bend.
Yeah.
They get
Also, a bit of light racism thrown in there.
yeah,
Just
just
sprinkled just a tad.
yeah. There was a little bit of a sprinkle of it. It was a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've put it as a cringy exploration of the era.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a very nice way of saying it. Just
Yeah,
racist.
I was obviously by this point I must have been trying to be slightly nicer in my notes or
Yeah.
trying to give me a little bit of a chance when we were talking about it. But yeah, it kind of felt really kind of cringy. Obviously, we get into this basement. Kirk
Yeah.
and Spock are trying to figure out what they're gonna do. They're trying to figure out how they're going to tackle the whole situation. And then we have Edith arrive and
Yeah. Miss Keller.
Miss Keller, Edith Keller,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was cringy within seconds because Kirk tries to seduce her. I'm like, give it a rest, boy. Like, it's now gone back to
Cowboy.
everything that I felt about Kirk beforehand.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, he's there
I'm
just,
in love. That's later. I'm
yeah,
in love.
yeah.
I get it. Because the reason the reason he was in love with her was because the camera they used to do close-ups of her
Well, clearly,
clearly had something on the lens. I think it was Vaseline or something to do with a bit of polish.
yeah, I had that in one of my notes later on. That there was a special effect for Edith that
Yeah.
it was kind of I don't know what it was. Um, but yeah, no, it was just
In
yeah,
the in the best possible kind of explanation, maybe some retro assigning of stuff. There's a couple of things, right? Matt McCoy keeps shouting killers and assassins, but especially in the direction of Kirk and Spock, or at the very least in the direction of the Starfleet officers. Once he gets to the past,
hmm,
he doesn't he doesn't accuse any of them
yeah,
as killers or assassins.
yeah,
Um, so it feels like he, through that Guardian thing or through that gate thing, whatever it is, he has gleaned into something of what is about to happen,
yeah,
and feels that Spock and Kirk are killers.
yeah,
Like very much retroactively attributing this because I don't think that was the intention. It was just, I just feel, well, maybe it is, but yeah, I mean,
yeah,
the rest of it doesn't seem to corroborate that. The second thing is that the one kind of explanation I can give to her not being in full focus, apart from the fact that they used some kind of weird filter or kind of Vaseline on the lens, was that from everything that she says and everything that she does, she seems like a woman out of time, right? Out of place for the 1930s.
yeah,
Um, so maybe that there's also an effect on her from kind of the timey-wimey stuff, and that's kind of giving her this aura of things. Like when she gives that speech at the mission, when the guy says, "Oh, you're not getting your food for free. You have to listen to this woman talk," which you know.
yeah,
uh, everything that she says is kind of it makes sense, but it makes sense kind of, and this is where again some of that proper writing comes through, and where you can get from that the people there saying, "Hey, this was ahead of its time." I can get that from glances of that, right?
yeah,
The rest of it is very much 1960s horrible acting,
yeah.
terrible cutting.
I kind of half expected there to be a relevant, you know, a reveal that Edith is actually from the future. I really
Yes,
expected it
yes,
at several
yeah,
points. They were going to be like, "Oh, she's from the future. Her and Kirk could be together forever."
yeah.
And obviously, yeah,
Yeah, obviously that can't happen,
yeah,
but um, I think in would they redo this like in this time? That is what would happen probably,
Mm,
right?
yeah,
She is not from there, and she's trying to influence early Earth to be better.
yeah,
And like the plot twist that I think was really a proper curveball when the computer suddenly comes up says Miss Keller dead, right?
yes,
Um, I think in a modern times, it would have turned out she was from the future, and they would be taking her back, right,
yeah,
back to the future at that point, and they make it so that it appears that she's dead
yeah,
or
yeah,
something along.
yeah,
They didn't do that obviously in this one, but it does also turn out that Matt McCoy was correct in saying that Kirk and Spock are killers, right?
yes. It was,
And I think, yeah,
I think there's a lot of moments in this episode that I kind of really liked. As I said at the beginning of when we started discussing this, I really liked McCoy. And I think once
yeah,
he's in the past, we see actually how good of an actor he is.
mm,
As we get less Mad McCoy, you have some really kind of deep moments of that show how good of an actor, like him and Edith speaking. That's quite a. I kind of really like that moment. I think that was probably one of the best scenes in the episode. Where he's obviously sick and
yeah.
he's trying
Yeah,
to kind of sort himself out.
I've just decided that I'm hallucinating.
Yeah,
You're real, but you're not who I think you are.
yeah.
Yeah,
I kind of really like that
yeah,
part. And I've put obviously, Bone, I've put Bones as a joy to watch.
yeah.
And then obviously I've put that obviously Edith and McCoy's conversation was I really like that scene. There was something
It also
about it.
feels like it also feels like in those maybe 2 or 3 days that McCoy is there, he has a much more genuine connection with Edith than Kirk does.
Yeah, Edith was literally just Kirk's love interest,
Yeah,
where McCoy kind of has that connection. He tries to find out more about her, and
yeah.
yeah, but then we get to the part where they all reunite, and
He says, "Oh, Dr. McCoy talks just like you."
yeah, and then it's like
Boy.
he's like, stay there, and obviously he's running back, and they have that moment of like hugging, oh yeah, hugging,
Yeah,
jumping and together, and then obviously Edith. Why did Edith cross the road?
to
Yeah,
get to the other side,
to
I
get to the
think.
other side, which doesn't happen. Obviously, she gets hit by a car.
Yeah,
Um,
it doesn't quite make it.
yeah, and you know, it was kind of really interesting to see this moment. Because McCoy's like, I could have saved her, I could have saved her, and Kirk has to make that choice that no, she
Yeah,
has to die. I didn't expect this plot twist. I really didn't.
no,
I really thought they would find a way to save her.
yeah,
Literally
yeah,
up until that moment, I was 100% convinced she was going to be from the future, and that they
yeah.
were going to save her.
Yeah, that's like until she actually got hit by the car, I was
Yeah,
like, okay, they're gonna find some way to take her back,
yeah,
right, to the future, and that's what's gonna go down in history as, oh, she did, but
yeah. I really 100% thought that they were going to save her.
yeah,
Um, but it was really gut wrenching. I kind of liked Edith as a character.
yeah,
Um, Despite the soft glow, the scenes that she had where it was all filmed in
the
soft glow.
filter, yeah,
Yeah, I really liked her as a character, and it was kind of gut wrenching. I was
good,
like, oh, that I didn't expect that, and obviously I just felt it was kind of gut wrenching.
yeah,
But then they get back to the future, and I just feel like it was like, oh, okay, that happened. There wasn't kind of,
yeah,
I don't know, maybe they ran out of time on the episode, but I just felt like it was.
probably.
But I do have questions. I do have. I
I have so many questions,
Okay.
but go ahead.
The only question that I had really was, the scene where McCoy is with this other person, and the other person pickpockets him.
I
Does
have the
he?
same question.
Yes. Does he pick up a phaser, or is it a communicator? What is it? What does he pick up to make him?
I think it's one of the. I think it's one of those hand phasers, isn't it? One of those small pocket ones.
I couldn't tell. I literally couldn't tell, and I was like,
It's like
the long
it's not the
ones.
pistol. It's not the
Yeah.
pistol thing, but they have these Type 1A phasers, or I don't know what they're
Oh,
called.
what the little ones?
Yeah, exactly, the palm phasers.
Yes.
I
Maybe
think
it's
it's one
one.
of those.
But he kind of disappears. So I was like, I have questions. So does this person
Yeah,
now
like
disappears from the stream? Has he changed his name?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. My question: what the hell happened to the dude pressing the
I've
button?
literally got
Is
put
what
like
I've
the
written
last
down.
part is I have questions.
Yeah, so many questions.
Yeah, but
Like
yeah,
the thing is, like the thing is, there's more doctors on Enterprise, right?
but
It's
there's
not
lots of
just
them.
McCoy,
Yeah,
right? Um, he overdoses on this stuff, on this cordrazine, but 3 days later, he's fine.
yeah,
Why wouldn't there be a doctor that says, "Oh, that's kind of shitty, but if we can tie him down for 3 days, he's gonna be fine,"
yeah. It just
right?
yeah,
Just knowing that would have already made the world a world of difference.
yeah. It just the whole vibe of it kind of just a bit. But I also think it's very 60s in writing that the focus were McCoy, Kirk,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Spock.
yeah,
That was the focus, and obviously it was
yeah,
all about them. I think we're very used to, even in like the next generation, we had Crusher, we had Picard, we had
yeah.
Troy, we had Riker, we had Georgie LaForge, we had Data. We had six characters that we focused on.
A
Obviously,
bigger ensemble. Yeah, yeah.
the original series only focuses really on
Three people.
three
Yeah,
people, and I think that's the big difference. But even when we get to kind of Discovery, I know the focus was meant to be Michael Burnham, but we still do
mhm,
get all the other characters. They do have
yeah,
like their own episodes, and like I think Strange New Worlds have done a very good job of focus episodes despite us having a massive crew. We've had focus episodes at Spark, we've had focus episodes on number one, we've had it on uh, what's her name?
thing.
Yeah, but I feel like
Laan,
which one?
Laan.
Yes, I loved her episode. Absolutely
Yeah,
amazing.
Benga.
Yeah,
No, I
yeah,
get what you're. But
yeah,
even in those episodes, right? Even in those episodes, the other characters also kind of get their own development, and that's kind of what everything I'm missing in '60s Trek is just
yeah,
this this sense of a bigger world, right? And it's just these three people on a ship, and there happen to be other people around because someone has to steer the ship at night, I guess.
yeah,
And really, yeah, nothing going. Like Scotty comes in at some point, surely, because in the movies he's big.
yeah. But I don't. Well, obviously, the next episode that we've got, he's there, so he must come in at some
Yeah,
point
yeah.
properly.
He's in here. He's in
Yeah,
City
but
on the
obviously
Edge.
he doesn't have quite as a big of focus. He has what?
No, he says, "What do we do if you fail?" They're like, "Well, yeah."
Yeah, it this
I think what does lift this episode for me though is like I like the historic stuff, and I like how Spock has to kind of cobble together a computer
yeah,
with tubes and with vacuum tubes and zinc and I don't know what else. Yeah.
gold,
Gold, platinum.
platinum. I did like that. That part. When they were in the past, I kind of did like that, but I do wonder if that's because we didn't have the beep boops.
I think it helps
Yeah,
a lot.
I
Yeah,
think that's why I kind of liked it, the this episode more than maybe the last one, a little bit
yeah,
more,
same.
because the sound wasn't quite as off. So how many beep bops are we gonna give it?
I'm giving this 3 out of 5 discount Stargates.
Discount
Yeah.
Stargates. Okay, I'm giving it 3.5 discount Stargates.
There you go.
So it's got 6.5 discount starting.
6.5 discount. This is our first sufficient grade, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Anything over 5 is a good grade, then I
Yeah.
think. But yeah, I it was an alright episode. Not
There's a couple of things I liked, and I think there's a lot more potential that would have gotten realized in modern day storytelling.
yes, yeah, yeah, definitely.
I yeah, yeah.
So let's move on to the trouble with tribbles. So this is the 15th episode of the second season, which I think is quite funny because we both watched these in order of
In
how
the
they were
order that we
broadcast.
discussed it, yeah.
Yeah, so it was first broadcast on December the 29th, 1967. And it's more a comic episode. So the Starship Enterprise visits a space station that soon becomes overwhelmed rapidly by reproducing small furry creatures called tribbles. Okay, it says ironically that it's claimed that a short story, Pigs is Pigs by Ellie Park Butner, inspired this episode, but strong similarities to sections of the novel The Rolling Stones led the producers to seek a waiver from author Robert A. Heinlein. Um, this episode I found quite interesting because I think we've both seen the DS9 episode.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've kind of both watched this episode previously and we are just watching it from another viewpoint.
Yes, on the one hand. On the other, I can't really remember much of that episode apart from, you know, a couple of scenes, right? I know that there's a hallway scene where Kirk is yapping into one of the intercoms, and Dax and I don't know who else is in the past, but Dax is kind of fangirling over him
But
from a bit of
she's
a
not
distance.
fangirling over Kirk, she's fangirling over
It's
Spock.
over Spock.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. Yes. Um, and I know the scene where all the tribbles come down, and I know I mostly know that because we have a community here in the Netherlands. We're called Sector 31,
Okay.
and a couple of the guys there built props, and we started out with the original series props because
Okay.
kind of they're easier to make. To
Yeah.
be fair, and one of the experiences that we've built is um, that you open a hatch and all these tribbles come out.
Oh
It's
my
funny.
god, I love it. That's brilliant.
Yeah, that was active on our last meeting, so that was a lot of fun.
That's
So
awesome.
I know that one, and I know kind of the big reveal at the end, right?
Yes.
And I kept trying to remember which one it was
Yeah.
that they were revealing, and hoping to catch them on a continuity issue, but they actually did well on that one.
Yeah.
As in the tribbles were never shown to coo lovingly in his vicinity, which I would have expected. Like until the last scene, until we need him to be revealed, he will probably have a tribble that doesn't respond to him, right?
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. And yeah, like you said, I've seen this from a different point of view
Yeah.
with uh,
So I think from my point of view, I did have bigger expectations. I think this is the one episode that I did have bigger expectations because I kind of
right.
vaguely it's been a while since I've seen DS9.
Yeah,
I vaguely
same.
knew going into it that it had Klingons, it had tribbles,
Yeah,
it had a big reveal at the end, though I couldn't remember the big reveal like yourself. So I did kind of have a lot of expectations going into this episode.
I knew what the big reveal was. I just couldn't quite remember who it was
Yeah,
that
that was
they.
kind of,
Yeah,
yeah, I couldn't quite
yeah,
remember it myself. But I kind of going into this, it was a bit strange. Yeah, kind of, yeah, just going into it, I kind of it threw me because yet again it's another episode where we're going straight into something. There's no kind of
yeah.
build up or anything. But I absolutely love the character of Chekhov. I absolutely love him.
Yeah.
Seriously, he had me howling with laughter every scene because of just his views, though they are very 60s.
Yeah.
Um, I just found
I,
him and Spock bouncing off each other in that first
yeah.
scene absolutely brilliant.
I love how everything is a Russian invention.
Yes, and then obviously Spock's correcting him that it's the Observatory, and he's like, no, no, it's Russian, and I'm like,
It's Russian.
yeah, and
Makes sense.
but that is a kind of
Yeah.
theme going through this episode, and
Yeah.
I just kind of really liked it. I just kind of liked it. I don't know what it is about the character, but yeah, no, I really liked it. You know, the fact that they go from straight from the briefing to battle stations with obviously with this priority one alert from
Yeah.
it kind of felt very overkill straight away, and I was like, oh
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
But that's, I think they comment on this like in the episode, right? It was overkill.
yeah,
Like, I totally get what Kirk is saying and why he's so um miffed, I guess,
yeah.
about it all. Um, because it is just overkill.
Yeah, you know, he's got this priority one alert. He's saying the base needs support, and obviously the Enterprise rushes to go save the day,
Yeah,
and they get
yeah,
there, and I can actually understand why Kirk is so righteous
yeah,
over the security alert, and I kind of found
yeah,
myself like, yeah, you get him. Um,
100%.
yeah, and then I was like, okay, so this is all over alien grain.
Yes. Not
He
even alien, it's also a Russian invention.
yeah, it's Russian alien grain.
Yeah.
Um,
No, but it's like it's full Earth, isn't it?
yeah,
It's like uh quadrotriticale.
I'm not even gonna try. This is why I've literally
Quadrotriticale.
got it in my notes as alien wheat grain,
Alien meat grain.
but it's not. It's just grain. Yeah, I just found it was really dramatic, and then you kind of have this kind of competition between the undersecretary and Kirk over who is
Yeah.
pissed, and I was like, oh, this is just cringy. This is just so
And then Spock says, "Oh, he does have the authority," and I'm like, "No, I don't think it. Like, it still doesn't mean he has the authority to call a security
alert.
emergency because he doesn't have guards for his grain silos."
It was just really weird. I was like, but they could have put something else. They could have put some other type of material, and it would have been more. You could have been more understanding.
No, but even no, I mean, I get where kind of the weight of this comes from
Yeah,
for this secretary, but you don't like. Why do you call an emergency? Like, this is DEFCON 1 level emergency, right? This is like we are about to die, all of
yeah, yeah,
us.
yeah.
Why do you call that type of emergency where you can't just put out a communique saying, "Hey, we need some guards for our grain silos.
Yeah, it
I
just
know that you're passing by quite nearby. Can you just, swing over
yeah, it
and
kind of just felt a little
spare a
bit.
guard?"
Yeah, it was a bit OTT.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a bit
and it
much.
just
Yeah,
and obviously once he's got the two guards, the rest of the ship gets to go on to shore leave. Yeah, and then it felt a bit weird, like, oh, the ship's now getting shore leave. Okay. Um, as someone who's worked on ships, it kind of felt really weird to me that then they were announced as shore leave like that. It just felt a bit weird. I was like, oh,
yeah, but it's space shore leave. It's different.
yeah, yeah, obviously,
Clearly,
me and my common Earth shore leave.
exactly. No clue.
Yeah, so it kind of then, and obviously then we move to the shore leave, and you've got obviously people going off to enjoy shore leave, and you've got who possibly is my favorite character that I've seen in Trek so far is this hustler Jones. I
Yes,
absolutely,
love him.
yeah, he is the type of character I love to see. He is a hustler, and he obviously he's trying to hustle the barman, he's trying to hustle the Starfleet crew, and obviously he sells them the Tribble.
Yeah.
And then
It's
it,
like it's hilarious though. Like the first time that the bartender he says, "I offer you 4 credits," and he says, "Is that an offer or a joke?" That's
yeah,
my offer. That's a
yeah,
joke.
yeah.
I
It's
love
just
it.
I
Yeah,
really
that
like
was good. That was good dialogue. I like it.
but I just like the character. I just think he's a character
Yeah,
we've not seen, and he played
all
the
these
role.
pockets everywhere.
Yeah,
Love it.
but he played the role well. I don't think there was a scene that he was in that I didn't enjoy, and I didn't kind of get the overacting vibe or the
No,
the stone vibe where they're not really acting. He kind of played the role perfectly, and I
yeah.
kind of hope that we see future episodes with him maybe. Um,
Is this in season two?
yeah,
It
this is
felt
season
like this
two.
is the first one in season two, right? The that we saw at least. I mean,
It's season two, so this is the first one that we've seen. Yeah, so I kind of like Jones as a character. Obviously, he sells the Tribbles, and then obviously
yeah.
they take the Tribbles back to the ship, and then it all kind of goes a little bit wrong there. And then we lead into kind of Kirk getting a bollocking from Starfleet. I didn't like that because I felt that Kirk was justified. So I was kind of
Yeah,
like
I don't know what
I
but
was
it's
getting a
probably
bit
because
more.
there's strings he's pulling, right?
Yeah,
The minister.
yeah. And I didn't like that. I was like, no, that's not how Starfleet plays. But obviously, in this case, it's very 60s and it's very yeah. It kind of
True, but also like in the later series, we do see that Starfleet does get influenced by legislators.
yeah. I suppose you're right there.
Yeah.
But I didn't like it.
No,
I wasn't a
same.
fan of that.
No.
Those pulling of those strings. And then we get the Klingons,
Yeah.
which kind of threw me. Even though I've seen them in DS9 and I know that they kind of look human, it threw me to see them like that in this episode. I don't know how you felt about it.
Same.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it.
Yeah. I thought that was going through my head. Wolf going, we don't talk about it. And I was like,
Well,
yeah.
we'll just accept this then. This
Yeah.
kind
And
of
I don't ever think
yeah.
we get an in canon explanation for this.
Yeah, Enterprise.
Do we?
The yeah, so in Enterprise, there's
The
another
virus.
song. Yeah, another song, which is kind of the predecessor of all the songs we know,
Yeah.
played by Brent Spiner, obviously. Uh, he's meddling in genetics,
I
and
remember that.
then they create a virus. Basically, he gets locked up. The I will say this: what I don't like about Star Trek Enterprise, I love the series, I love the setting. What I don't like about Enterprise is that they are doing too much to pave over some of the plot holes or that sort of thing, and too much of tying into that stuff. So when this happens, it has to be sung, which I don't know why. Just get another geneticist, fine. But it has to be him because you want to do fan service with Brent Spiner.
Yeah.
At the end of the episode, he says something along the lines of, "Oh, I've changed my focus now to androids. It will take a generation or two."
Cringe.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
We got
Anyway,
ya.
I digress. But yeah, so that's I think the canon explanation, not in
Okay.
the original series, but they give it in.
That makes sense. That makes sense to be fair. But yeah, so we obviously have got the
I liked,
Klingons.
I liked, I liked Worf's explanation better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway.
But obviously that was before Enterprise.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Yeah. So obviously in the side
exactly. Yeah.
spin that was before that. And then
No, but
obviously
the thing with that is that and again, sorry, I'm just taking kind of this off in that direction. But the thing I have with that is it's obvious it's an obvious budgetary and technology constraint,
Yeah.
right? It's obvious that this is not a decision uh, that they would have made had they had the ability to give them more of a visual distinction
Yeah.
from other people.
Yeah.
So let's just all of us agree that that's what that is, and then if a new Klingon appears in the next generation or Discovery, it's just because our technology has, from the original series to the next generation, it's been 20 years.
Imagine
Technology has
that.
advanced, prosthetics has advanced. It's much better. Like technology now, obviously, is beyond what they imagined for 60s Trek.
Yeah.
Like the communicator, very silly to us, right? I have something much better than a communicator on my desk right
Yeah.
here. Let's just accept that this is something of the times, and then you don't need anything other than an explanation. Like if you do this crossover, then you need an explanation, but you don't need any other explanation than just someone going, "We don't talk about it."
Yeah.
Like it's something that is deeply ingrained in our society, or it's been something along those lines. We don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah.
No one actually cares, right? And then they apply I think it's a 2 episode arc in Enterprise that they dedicate to this, and then everyone is kind of pissed, right? That this is the explanation because Klingons, it's not honorable, and then you're like, oh well, Klingons, apart from maybe Worf, have never shown to be very honorable. Just like Starfleet admirals, whenever you see one, they're gonna be shitty. But anyway, like I said, I digress. But this is one of my kind of pet peeves with, especially Enterprise, and you see it happen a bit with Strange New Worlds as well. Like there are some things that don't need explaining. What I really liked about Enterprise, by the way, before we go back to kind of what we were actually doing, is the Borg episode. Because I did like that they kind of cleaned that one up, and I can also, what I like about that in my headcanon is they were building this signal to the Delta Quadrant. They were building this, and they stop it just in time, or was it in time? There's kind of this question hangs in the balance, right?
Yeah.
And then Q, like in my headcanon, Q pulls the Enterprise to the Borg cube.
Yeah.
That actually catches that signal. So they were always going to be headed in the direction of the Alpha Quadrant anyway, because the signal had already gone out all these years before. So Q is not actually changing anything about it. I think it makes Q a bit more friendly. Anyway,
that's a whole different episode whether Q is friendly or not. But yes, but going back to the Klingons, so obviously they appear. They are in the base manager. Is that what that's what he's called? I'm guessing.
I don't know.
I've got it as base manager. He's actually no. We'll go back a couple of seconds. So obviously, Kirk demands the ship goes to battle stations, and then he contacts the base manager and says the Klingons are on their way, and the base manager is like, yes, they are sat in my office next to me, and everyone's like it's like oh okay, and then obviously Kirk and Spock beam over because it's logical to send your captain and your first officer over to a base with Klingons.
They addressed this in the Next Generation.
Yes.
But sorry, I should
but it is. But we are always going to compare it to the seasons that we have seen more, and this was the whole point of it, that we're going to have this. We don't have this rose-tinted view of
the original series.
Obviously, we don't have that view. So this is obviously
at all.
At all. We have definitely. We might wear glasses, but we are not rose tinted, folks.
They are not rose tinted.
They are not rose tinted. And obviously they go over to the base. And there's a bit of back and forth whether they're going to have the Klingons are allowed to have shore leave because it's part of the the peace agreement that they are allowed shore leave on certain
Yeah. Yeah.
faculties, and it's a bit
Well,
it kind of doesn't, yeah, it kind of doesn't gel with me because it kind of feels a little bit weird that they're allowed shore leave on Federation bases. Um, but yeah,
I think the point is that after the Klingon War, this sector is kind of in this neutral,
yeah,
like it's not a demilitarized zone like it is between the Federation and the Romulans, but there is definitely a bit of this is neutral space, right?
yeah,
And no one has claims to this planet that we never see, but is ostensibly close by.
yeah,
Um, and they are referring to some sort of agreement that, if we need shore leave, we can get shore leave,
yeah,
that sort of thing. So it feels like K7 also because of that a hustler being there and kind of pushing his wares. It feels like K7 is a bit more of a neutral kind of space away from your, like, this is feels like a Firefly type of
yeah,
universe
yeah. I kind of get
setting,
that
right?
vibe. It's
Yeah.
what has someone called it yesterday? Someone called it cowboy era in space. I think that's what someone kind of called it yesterday when I was talking to someone else. They kind of called it space cowboy or space western. It was something like that. That was kind of the
Yeah.
vibe that it was. But
It's like a space spaghetti western.
yeah, yeah, that was kind
Yeah.
of the vibe that they were saying, and I can see that vibe with this base. It's not technically, I wouldn't say it's a federation. It's a federation base, but it's not necessarily in federation space, like just the solid
Yeah.
space.
I wonder if it is actually a Federation base.
Yeah,
Because it doesn't have the naming convention of,
yeah, it has K7, doesn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, so it was the
Anyway.
vibe of it was kind of a little bit strange to me. And then
Yeah.
obviously we kind of get the tribbles. They're multiplying all over the ship over and over.
They are born pregnant.
Yeah, and that kind of whole vibe for me was just a bit like, it was a bit hard to believe.
Well, I did
Yeah,
like that they showed one that was actually moving because before that moment, I was like, okay, even if they multiply, they're not going anywhere.
yeah, they just kind of sat there,
But
and
they had one
obviously,
that was like caterpillaring over the
yeah,
thing.
it was a little bit strange, and obviously we kind of like the the hustler returns to sell more tribbles, but the barman's like, I've got enough.
Yeah, plenty.
I've got plenty. I don't need any more. And obviously, we see the first time the Klingons react to the tribbles. They make a horrible noise when they go near Klingons, and the
Yeah,
Klingons call them parasites. So it kind of
yeah,
goes back. The tribbles taken away, and then it kind of goes into what I actually think is one of my favorite scenes in this episode. So you've got Scotty and you've got Chekhov, and they're obviously at the bar, and
yeah,
they're there, and they're arguing and they're discussing. Obviously, Scott's whiskey is Russian. Did you guys not know
yeah.
that? And
Invented by a little old lady from
then
Leningrad.
from Russia,
That's what
yeah.
he says.
So fight,
Yeah,
and it's fine. It is going through. He's going through Kirk,
beautiful. Yeah,
yeah, and then it gets to the Enterprise. They are, bad mouthing the Enterprise, and that is it. Scotty cannot
yeah,
stand it any longer. He gets up and he just decks that person.
yeah,
Decks the Klingon, and then it kind of starts a bar fight. And then Kirk has pulled all these people in to the office, and he's going, "Okay, so did you do it? Did you do it?" And obviously, he lets them all go, confined to quarters, and then he grabs Scotty back. And it's literally my favourite scene. And Scott is like, well, it was me. And you kind of see that they're actually, late, as you said, later on, they're not there to actually split up the fight. They're there to assist. And
yeah. They were specifically assigned to the station to make sure something like this doesn't happen. And then the moment it happens, they run in and they fight more.
Yeah, it's a little
Uh,
awkward, but it does make me laugh. I just kind of find. But what else I liked about this this episode is Jones the hustler is there, and he is going behind the bar.
yes, it's just casually getting a drink.
He's just casually getting drinks. You know, but this scene actually reminds me of a story that I wrote with Cam, where this actually happens, where our characters in a bar fight get drink from behind the bar because obviously the rest of the bar is in chaos and no one's served them. So my mind is going back to this episode where Greg Knoll, Jessero meet Bernie and Leah, and I was like, huh, is this where Cam got the inspiration from?
Maybe,
It may be. Yeah,
possibly.
I'm starting to think this might be where
Yeah,
she's getting quite a lot of her inspiration from.
yeah.
But yeah, I can't.
Cam, leave a comment.
Yeah,
This is where you got the inspiration
yeah,
from.
we want to know, Cam. Is this where you got the inspiration from?
We need to. We need to know.
We need answers.
Inquiring minds.
We have lots of questions. But yeah, I kind of just liked. I liked this scene. It was one of the good. It was another one because it had the hustler in, and I just think he kind of brings a little bit of a spark
Yeah,
to every scene that he's in,
yeah.
which is
He
good.
was the best part of this. Yeah,
Yeah, I kind of just, but I do have a note on this when I've kind of done it. I've put the overacting in this scene though from the Starfleet and the personnel and the Klingons when they're throwing punches. You can
yeah,
see that they're being really careful of the scenes because the sets wobble slightly.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, oh. And obviously the shore leave's then cancelled. There's an awkward dressing down. And Kirk's Scott is like, but it's a matter of pride. And you could just see Kirk's like, oh, what have I done? What have I done?
yeah.
And then we switch to the next scene where we have got tribbles everywhere.
Yes.
They are literally taking over the ship. They're literally everywhere. They're in the food. They're in the food processors. They're in the consoles. They are in the
Yeah,
air
yeah.
vents. Yeah,
Like the expectations going in. Mrs. Emu said, "I was hoping. I'm hoping for chaotic cuteness."
that's exactly what it was.
And the end result she predicted will be that I will be making Tribble noises all week, which is probably true. And she'll be buying Tribbles on Amazon.
I will happily help her.
Need to find the proper ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
I'm. Have you ever seen the Star Trek short around tribbles?
I think I might have
I would
done.
highly recommend going to watch it because it is hilarious, and it will probably help with your tribble issue if Mrs. Emu doesn't stop it. It will help you.
Yeah.
I would watch it
Okay.
if you can find it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Should.
I find as we're progressing in this episode, the tribbles are getting more and more, and they're becoming like it's chaos cuteness. That's a really good way to sum it
Yeah.
up. To be fair,
Yeah.
and obviously Kirk and Spock, because they come as a duo, go back across to the base.
Yeah.
Obviously
Like they are joined at the hip.
they are joined at the hip. Yes, so they go back across to the base. They grab obviously Jones into the office. They grab the kind of like start going through. Well, you're gonna do this. You're gonna get rid of all the tribbles. If not, you don't get your ship back and all this. And then obviously the Klingons come in. um, yeah, it was kind of a weird scene. Obviously, once that's the noise. It was just. But the beep boops aren't as loud in this episode, so there is that.
That's
But they,
good. Yeah. Like whenever they're not on the bridge, it's fine.
yeah, obviously the beep bops are replaced with triple noises,
Yeah.
which is interesting. Um, and then obviously we get the iconic before we get to the base office, we get the iconic scene with the tribbles just falling out on Kirk,
Yeah. Pouring out.
smothering Kirk to death. And obviously we discovered that they've been in the grain. Um,
Yeah.
the grain. And then obviously we discovered that some of them have died. So there's a bit of an investigation, which then leads to the base commander's office.
Yeah.
where they're still trying to figure out what's going on with the Klingons storming in, going, "We demand retribution for the fact our shore leave's been cancelled and all
Yeah.
this." And
Yeah.
then we get the big reveal.
Yeah. Shook.
Shook.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was obviously they kind of go into the process of the Tribbles, the Klingons
Oh, we
demand.
need to get them out of here.
Yeah, yeah, the Tribbles are demanded to be gotten out of here by the Klingons, and obviously as they're walking past the assistant to the undersecretary, they start making the noise.
A racket. Yeah.
Yeah, they start making a racket, um, which then leads
I
to
love like right before that he walks by um the secretary and Kirk says, "Mr. Bummers, they like you." Well, there's no accounting for taste.
yeah, I like that. I was like, ooh, that's the final dig. That's the final dig.
Love
That
it.
was a good
Yeah,
one.
like it.
Yeah. So yeah, I liked that, and then obviously it turns out that this assistant is a Klingon.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
All I kept going through my brain was, do these people not have medicals? Because Bones literally went up to him, scanned him, was like, yeah, he's a Klingon. I was like,
But he was a spy, obviously, so he
yeah,
faked his medicals.
yeah. But I was just
But
like, if he's
I don't know why it was necessary for him to be a Klingon spy.
just, yeah, it just felt
They just I don't they didn't want the Tribbles to be the issue
yeah,
because then the Enterprise crew would have caused kind of this diplomatic incident.
yeah,
But I think it would have been more interesting if it were.
yeah. So then we kind of
It
find
feels like
out,
a cop out.
yeah, we kind of find out via the tribbles that actually the grain has been poisoned. It's not suitable
Yeah,
for.
it was poisoned all along.
It was poisoned all along. That it wasn't. It obviously wouldn't be suitable for being on the planet
What,
below.
whatever they wanted to do with it.
I'm guessing they just wanted to grow it because obviously it said that after about,
Yeah,
wasn't it, so like after about 2 or 3 days of ingestion, that would be when people start being poisoned and dying.
Diane. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I actually think this might have been the most solid episode.
Beginning to end, yeah, I think it was.
It didn't have as many plot twists and kind of yeah, it didn't.
The only thing I didn't like was kind of the the shoehorned in Klingon spy.
Yeah, that kind of, because we didn't have anything before that that was,
No.
yeah, it kind of wasn't.
Indicative. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't know there was a spy beforehand. It kind of felt very sort of left, came out of left field.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of, apart from that, I think it was quite a solid episode.
Yeah.
Um, I think it was the most solid, but I also wonder if that's because it's the second season. It's not quite as, yeah,
And maybe also because you got a bit more background knowledge already through the
yeah,
Deep Space Nine episode. Like it feels like
yeah,
a more complete episode, but I feel like some of the things I felt like is more complete as an episode is
yeah.
because of what we know from Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, yeah, it was but it was I kind of enjoyed this episode. It was a nice episode that I watched with
Yeah.
obviously Miss Six. We kind
Yeah.
of watched it
Yeah.
this afternoon, so it was kind of a nice episode. So, how many triples are we giving it out of 5?
I would say one, no, wait, two,
2.
three, four tribbles out
4
of five.
triples.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. You
Okay.
start off with one, right? And they start
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
yeah,
They multiply. Um,
yeah,
I think I'm going to give it a 4 as well.
yeah.
I think I'm gonna give it 4 triples. So it's an 8 triples out of 10.
8 out of 10 tribbles.
Wow, so we've ended this trio of episodes with the highest one so far, which is
Yeah.
interesting. But shall we have a look about which ones we're going to look at next time? Let's have a look. Okay.
Bring it on. After that, we'll do like, do you want to do a conclusion? Oh, I keep disappearing into the background. Do you want to do a conclusion after these three episodes, and then maybe look at the what we're gonna watch next?
Okay. Okay. You go first with your conclusion.
First of all, like the acting is as stilted as I imagined, and I disappear again.
Coming
Um,
up.
the the thing I think you mentioned before, and I think it's very true, is that the people saying that this is the best track, or this is like, I understand that this is the foundation, and I can see some of the dialogue and some of the concepts that they're going for starting to take shape,
Yeah.
that the rest of the series really kind of run with. Um, but to my modern eyes, it's just very shitty. Like,
Yeah.
had it not been for this kind of format, I don't think I would have ever watched
Yeah, I'm very much
this.
in the same. I think my conclusion is very much, if I hadn't forced myself to do this challenge, I don't think I would have watched it. I probably would have watched the episode that inspired me to write Noelle, my character
Mm,
on SS Mary Rose with the cloud miners.
mm.
I'm gonna give that episode a watch soon, because I kind of want to see a little bit more of the character and how that's come about. But it is a hard watch for a woman who tries her best to include everyone, to not discriminate. It's a hard watch seeing how female characters are portrayed.
I
Like,
think at some point in one of the episodes, Kirk says something about a female Starfleet captain. Huh, that's never going to happen, right?
yeah,
Those vibes are really there. I don't know what episode that is, or anything,
yeah,
but
I've heard that too, and obviously we've seen that. Or he goes, "Oh, I can't get used to women on the bridge."
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
just like, which I really like that Enterprise and Strange New Worlds have pretty much retconned that, because obviously
Yeah,
The second NX class captain was, um,
female.
yeah, Hendrik,
Hernandez, right?
yeah, that's it. That's what I was trying to say. But yeah, no, she's
Yeah,
obviously that, and then obviously we've got female captains in Strange New Worlds, and obviously and in Discovery.
yeah,
I completely forgot Michelle Yeoh
yeah.
on Discovery. I kind of really liked it in later
Oh,
seasons.
you're suddenly very faint. Your microphone is.
Oh,
Oh, you're back.
okay. Don't know what I did then. Strange.
Huh.
Um, is it got there?
No, it's good, but I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, I just found that I'm glad that later seasons have kind of retcons that, but
Yeah,
it is a really hard watch for me. I
yeah.
really don't like how they've treated these characters. Um, but I am going to continue it. I want to do the challenge. I want to watch these 12 episodes. Are you wanting to watch the rest the
Yeah,
9 episodes?
I'll watch them. I'll watch them with you, and I'll score them kind of relative to the original series. But like, this one comes out at 8 out of 10, but it's nowhere near like even the bad episodes of Deep Space Nine. I love Deep Space Nine.
Yes.
Like, even the bad episodes of
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine are better than what we've just watched. I
Yeah.
feel. But, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so I'm gonna pick the next 3 episodes that are on the list. So I'm gonna put two of them together, because I think, because they've
They
got,
belong together.
yeah, they kind of belong together. So it's Mud's Women, and then
Yeah.
For the World is Hollow, and I have touched the sky.
So 4 episodes.
No, it's just three.
Oh, the third one is like
It's
a
it's
sentence of a
yeah,
episode
how
title.
how
Okay.
some people When you don't
Pain
like post
posts.
titles, post titles, yes, yes. Um,
Yes, yeah. So, full disclosure, I don't like post titles that go longer than like 4 words.
yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. Then you did that to Dulac on
Yeah,
the site, and I
yeah,
was crying. I was literally I had tears rolling down my face because I could just see Dulac's expression. He'd be like, "He's done this to my site," and then I was going to myself, going, "Hee hee." I know that John doesn't like that himself. I was like,
yeah.
okay, so that is next episode. So that should be a good one. I'm not entirely sure when we're actually going to do that. It's probably going to be the new year now.
Yeah, probably because there's, all that fun stuff coming up.
Yes.
Holidays.
The holidays, we've got Doctor Who
Yeah.
episodes. Next week should
Yeah,
be the
exactly.
first
Yeah.
of the Doctor Who episodes, which will be interesting. Because Doctor Who's back and we're all excited. So that should be a good episode, especially because we've got Disney money in Doctor Who now. It's not just BBC money; it's Disney money. So well, it looks
See.
yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm excited to see David Tennant back. So we'll see
Yeah.
him playing the third Doctor now, because obviously he had his original one. He's had Meta Doctor, Meta
Oh,
Crisis,
right. Yeah.
yeah, and then obviously
Yeah.
now we've got 14th.
14. Yeah.
I don't have enough hands anymore. Yeah, so he's going to be playing that. So that should be me and Ben discussing it the day after it comes out. So that should be good. Yeah. So until then, stay safe, keep writing, and thank you for joining us.